Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for day 3 of Maximize Your Sales Efforts. We are so excited that you are here, and we are even more excited that we have Neysha with us talking about cracking the code to nurturing well-being, avoiding burnout. And this topic is near and dear to my heart. I know it's near and dear to yours, clearly. And again, just so excited that you are here talking with us about this, especially as we enter into this crazy holiday season right now. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Neysha. She's going to guide us through some of the content that she has to help us with this really big topic that maybe sometimes we don't want to talk about. So I love that.
I hear you, Dion. This is literally the elephant in the room these
Yes.
days. So I am delighted to share with everyone a little bit of my journey and also some actionable steps. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
Yep, let's do it.
Before we actually get started, I don't start anything without bringing everyone to the present moment because
Mm.
our mind is on the hamster wheel, just with all of the to-do list. So if everyone will indulge me, I would appreciate if everyone closes their eyes and we're going to take 3 deep breaths whenever we're ready. And we are here, beautifully here present and ready to roll. Um, So today I am gonna talk a little bit about my own personal journey, and I am gonna leave everyone with some actionable steps. But before, I'm gonna start with a story. It was May 2015. It was 6:43 a.m. and I still remember it to this day because I used to beat traffic by going early to my office. I was on the big floor, big corner office, big car, and the mega title that it didn't even fit in the business card. I know you relate to that because that's when you say, I made it.
Yeah.
Except while I waited for the firewalls from my computer to come in, I actually it was a little bit dark still, and I stood up to wait for my computer's firewalls to finish running, and caught my reflection in the big window, and I just didn't recognize that person.
Mm.
I couldn't. I didn't knew who that person was. Yes, I was proud of the work that I have put to reach the point that I was. Yes, I actually have the trust from the C-suite from my organization. I had the biggest and most riskier projects under my leadership. I just did not knew how that person have actually gotten there, and I didn't love it because I was
Yeah.
so burnout that I had lost complete touch with who I was and what I thought I wanted to be when I grow up. So today I spend my time as a transformation advisor and coach, leading burnout leaders, especially actually in the technology world, to reconnect them with themselves so that they can have a holistic approach to their success where mind, body, and spirit connect and reach that success in a more fulfilling way.
I love that.
So, anyone heard of this? In the morning. Today, I will focus on 1, 2, 3, 4. You name it. This to do list is amazing. I did it last night, so I'm going to be great at it. By noon, we stop and realize, oh, I don't think I've even had time to go to the bathroom. In the afternoon, oh my God, I achieved nothing of what I had for today. Well, guess what? That if that's you, there's a lot of people in today's corporate world. And It accumulates over time until it causes for us to be overwhelmed. Now, a question for everyone. You don't need to answer me, but I actually would love for everyone to think about this and answer to themselves. When you are overwhelmed, what is the first thing that you sacrifice? And the options are the quality of my deliverables, my personal passions, the time for my loved ones, the time for myself.
Mm.
Out of every single time that I answer these questions in all of my workshops, the number one answer is the time for myself. And the second number one answer is my personal passions. And that is the most common answer. And it's normal because we typically take for granted what is going to be there, if starting with us, following with our loved ones, and then everything else around us. Okay. Now, I want to state something. Being overwhelmed is not a bad thing, especially when you see light at the end of the tunnel. I typically tell my clients, you know what? Being overwhelmed means that you care, that there's literally conviction that you can do something. It's a lot right now, but you have a vested responsibility on it. Being overwhelmed for an extended period of time is a massive problem because what happens is that we activate our limbic brain. Our limbic brain launches adrenaline to our body because our limbic brain reacts like in the prehistoric times, saying, "Oh, you're in danger." That adrenaline goes to our muscles, diverting all the blood to our muscles so that we can run for safety, and our organs can actually survive for a period of time with that blood flow going to our muscles, but not for an extended period of time. And that's the problem, Dion, because to be honest, that's how we live these days, with a constant state of stress.
Yep.
That's actually the reason why we see so many people that when they either take a long vacation, and I'm saying long vacation 2 weeks, or when they retire. Actually, when they take long vacations, they get sick. Most of the people just get sick because your body is trying to replenish all of that normal peace state of peace, right? When they retire, they have accumulated over the years so much stress that some people develop chronic conditions. And I know this is not a surprise to anyone. Every one of us have someone in our circle that is living through that. So we don't have to get there. We can prevent burnout by balancing high performance and well being. How do we do that? Well, I am about to show you. I am going to be talking right now about my personal journey along with my gazillion certifications united to create a step by step plan on how you can balance well being and high performance. In my journey, the first thing, after I quit my job, after I decided I couldn't do it in that manner anymore, I tried a lot of different things. Many, many, many things. However, I said, well, I have done this type of job for 20 years, so I'm going to do it in my own, through my own company in the exact same way. That should work. Well, it didn't. Okay. Because I was not being true to myself. And that was the first cause that led me to the massive burnout, just losing touch with myself. So, step number one, get back in touch with yourself. How do we do that? Let's ask ourselves the difficult questions. What energizes you? What depletes you? What makes you thrive? What actually makes you drag yourself? And the most important question of all, what is your most common inner story?
Mm.
We're going to see why this is important a little bit later. Very important question to ask ourselves. And it is all about you because thriving at success is very, very personal. For some people, it's typically the money in their bank account, the car that they drive, and the status that they have been able to achieve. For some other people, success is just living out of their van and running ultra marathons. That's not me, but that's success. Success is very personal now to everyone. The next thing that happened, I knew I liked to work very, very hard. I've always been a workaholic, but being now on my own, I didn't know exactly working hard on what. For the first time, I didn't have that compass and that direction because no one was telling me what needed to be done. So now it was up to me. So I worked very, very hard, but I didn't know to watch what.
Mm.
So, step number two, bring clarity towards your dreams and your aspirations. And this is very, very important. We have to be very, very clear on what are our aspirations, where do we want to get to, and be very specific and very detail oriented about this. Because when we do not, what happens is that we start eventually to lose touch with ourselves. That inner spark starts to dim. Once that spark starts to dim, we start to go through the motions of what is expected of us, most of the time not even related to what we even like. And over time, those dreams and aspirations are gonna try to come out and cause discontent because there's no alignment between what you're doing and what truly makes you thrive, right? Some people call it your passions, your purpose, you name it, doesn't matter. The idea, it doesn't matter how you call it, the idea is to get in touch with that aspect of you that makes you thrive
Mm.
and elevates your spirit. Now, with this being said, if you're not clear about those dreams and aspirations, it is very, very important to go with curiosity, right? And just, hey, I'm curious about this aspect of myself. I'm curious about how does that work for this other person. I'm curious and I'm going to try it out, right? Because some people have lost touch with themselves for so long that they are just numb and they do not know where to head. So the best way to get ahead of it is by exploring curiosity.
Mhm.
So,
So,
the next thing, I was inadvertently self sabotaging my efforts. I didn't realize it, but I was. The next step then is challenge your belief system. Do you remember that question on step number one? What is your most common inner story? Well, our self talk, positive or negative, reflects our belief system. And our belief system is the framework of thought that we use to make our decision making. That is based on our upbringing, our experiences, and our circumstances. So I'm going to give you an example. I am Hispanic. I am a woman. I chose technology as my career and engineering. So, guess what happened? My belief system is, well, there's only so far that you can go because you're a woman in technology. And you are Hispanic, so every single time that especially after I moved to the US, every single time that you're going to say something, your accent is ahead of you. People cannot understand you and they are going to dismiss you. All of that became my belief system, and that was my truth. Today I look back, and you may look back and say, well, that's very silly that you say that, but that actually becomes your decision-making framework. So you have to challenge those belief systems. Another example, if you grew up in a medium class community, access to resources is just your belief system. It's just there. You just have to look for that. If you grew up in the opposite of that, then everything is going to be 10 times hard because you don't even know what you don't know. And those are examples of belief systems. If we want to reach breakthroughs in our life, we have to challenge our belief systems and ask ourselves constantly whether that is true or not.
Mm.
It could be true for ourselves right now, but it doesn't have to be true for ourselves forever. Okay.
Mm.
Number 4, it is impressive the amount of negative thoughts that flow through our minds whenever we're going to try to do something new. Oh
Goodness.
my goodness, Dion, I bet that
Yeah.
you remember
Yeah.
your first speaking engagement.
Yep.
Oh my God, what am I going to say? Who's going to listen to me? Why do I have to say that? Well,
Yep.
who's going to actually believe me? Well, the same
Yeah.
happens to everything that we are going to initiate with a new perspective. That's why we have to challenge our belief system so that we can identify our thoughts and our negative thoughts and then reframe those negative thoughts. Impresses the amount of negative thoughts that sabotage our efforts on a daily basis, sometimes in an hourly basis, but that's
Oof.
another topic. So it's going to be very, very difficult to achieve breakthroughs if your thought process do not support your vision. That's why I love reframing thought process. Most of us wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, I have to go to work." Well, let's start to reframe that. I get to go to work
Yeah.
because not everyone gets to go to work. And yes, you may hate your job, but it's still a source of money, a source of distraction, a source of engaging with other adults, you
Yep.
name it. So you get to do it. The other part that actually we get a lot, that I get a lot from my people is, oh, I'm so bad at this. Well,
Oh.
no, you're figuring it out. You're working on it. You can learn anything over time. That's what have got you from where you started to here. And actually, I'm going to tell you something. The you that you were 15 years ago will be ridiculously proud of the you that you are today. So, whatever you come from, you can change that by putting work and studying. So, you're not bad at anything. You just don't know enough yet. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know enough yet. And the most common one, I'm sorry. Oh my God, do we apologize excessively, especially women, but I have seen it in men too. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm late. I'm sorry I couldn't meet your last minute deadline. There's so many stories that are totally unnecessary. I'm not saying that you are going to become this person that can never apologize, right? We have to be vulnerable to create community. What I'm saying is that there is so many instances where we apologize unnecessarily. So instead, I'm going to challenge everyone watching this to say thank you. If you're late because the meeting got scheduled at the last minute, why are we saying I'm sorry? Well,
Mm-hmm.
thank you for your patience as I run from meeting to meeting. If you didn't deliver something that was an emergency to someone else, especially if you have given instructions before. Thank you for understanding that I can only accommodate certain amount of priorities, so your deliverable is a little bit late.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many examples, but let's start to empower ourselves by reframing those negative thoughts by something more positive that eventually retrains our mindset to become one of growth rather than one fix.
Mm.
The next thing, everyone expected me to do what I used to do, and I had no idea how to answer why I couldn't do it anymore,
Mm.
right? When you're a workaholic and people are used to seeing you work as a workaholic, even in your new role, they are going to be expecting you to work in the same manner. So One example, your family may say, oh, you have more time now that you're on your own. So can you take care of this for me? Or a client that you used to work in your previous role says, I'm sure you can whisk that out in a couple of hours, right? There are a lot of expectations because we have no idea how to reframe that and set the new expectation. To set new expectations, you have to have a vision at the end of the tunnel. So, step number 5 is create your personal mission statement. Just as organizations have a mission statement that say who they are and what do they do, you should have your own. A personal mission statement will succinctly state who you are, what you do, and who do you do it for in a way that allows you to keep your focus because then you can bounce your decision making towards that mission statement and also helps create the expectations of those around you on what can you do and why can or cannot you do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it prevents others from making assumptions on your time and your efforts. Most importantly, it creates the compass where you're going to base your new decision making process.
Mm.
The next thing, I continue to work hard. Oh my God, I want to work hard at all of this. Now I know where I'm heading. I have no idea if I'm making progress or not. At times, it felt like if I was running over a sheet of ice. So, develop SMART goals. SMART goals stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And I am not advocating for any particular framework. What I'm advocating is for making goals that have parameters that let us know whether we are progressing or not. We can have a big dream ahead of us. I want to create an impact in the world. Great. How does that look like? That looks like this particular business that helps organizational leaders thrive. Great. How am I going to do that? So, breaking down in small little pieces everything that you want to accomplish so that then you can define those parameters that allow you to see whether you're progressing towards that goal, whether you are stalling, or whether that's the correct goal or not. Because sometimes we put goals that are not necessarily the goals that we need to work on.
Yeah.
Then, if you work in an organization, I challenge you to integrate those goals with your job's responsibilities because your personal goals are equally important than your job's
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah.
And how can we do this? Well, let's say that you are starting in your organization and you want to become a manager by next year, by the end of next year, or whatever that is, the timeline, right? Well, how are you going to do that? Okay, if I want to become a manager and I had to fit these responsibilities and I want to do it in an advanced fashion, then I am going to integrate my personal goals with my job's goals and then maybe collaborate with your manager and say, hey, can I run our team meetings on Fridays? Hey, let's touch base on the topics that I think are important for us to discuss, plus the ones that you as a manager see as imperative. That could be an avenue of working your personal goals into your um, job's goal. The other example that I typically have is like, let's say that you're doing your job because it pays the bills, but you truly want to become a community leader because you love volunteering with nonprofits, right? Well, Neysha, those two passions do not relate to each other. Well, actually, they do. I am here to tell you how. Maybe you can work on becoming visible on the community by integrating that into your job. Every job, every organization that I work with has a community component, and maybe you can organize the employee engagement team outing into your particular organization that you currently volunteer so that everyone can see what the organization is about.
Yep.
Or maybe it's not a particular organization, maybe it's a cause. You really like to work with a woman or any ethnicity. Well, maybe you create an employee business resource group and you lead it, and that integrates your out of work passions with your inner passions. The possibilities are limitless. It's very, very important that we integrate our personal goals into your job's goals, because otherwise you're always going to put your personal goals last, and you will never have the space to actually meet them. Now, with that being said, caution: overcommitting is the fastest way to expedite the path towards burnout. Not necessarily by adding more stuff to our plate, but by removing things that do no longer serve us and that we committed because, just because, and in certain things that elevate our spirit and actually our mind. Number 7, I started to enjoy my work very much, but I would get drained very, very easily. Support your journey with positive habits. Habits are a deal breaker. When you hear self care, what activity comes to mind? Some people say a spa, a skincare routine. Some other people say a massage. And some other people say exercise. I ask this question because self care doesn't look the same for everyone. So, whenever you're considering uh, new habits, consider elements from physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual and
Mhm.
sensory. Not that you need to do everything, it's not that. It is that by integrating elements through your week, you are going to become more successful and address holistically your well being. Number 8, I was doing lots of tasks, but there were many surprise events that derailed my focus. So, step number 8, implement an accountability method. Consistency is imperative, especially the first 21 days. It takes 90 days actually to create a lifestyle change. So use an accountability method. And today, there are many apps that consider to-do lists and habit trackers, etc. My favorite one is an accountability partner.
Mm.
Those can keep you on track. And we're almost done here. Because I knew I could get things done under pressure, procrastination became a concern.
Yep.
Yes, I know.
Yep.
So build a support system. You remember in the previous accountability method that I said accountability partners, they are key and they can be also your support system. If the people around you do not inspire you to be better, you need new people. I am not saying that you fire everyone in your circle. What I'm saying is that you infuse your circle with new people that inspire you to be better.
Yep.
And last but not least, because
Mhm.
I now had a flexible schedule, everyone made assumptions on my time.
Yep.
So, create strong boundaries. Very important about boundaries. We set boundaries for ourselves because we love and respect ourselves so much that we want to achieve the goals that we have put on ourselves, right? So, important to consider physical boundaries and mental boundaries. Maybe physical boundaries is having a space in your house that is your working space and you move out of that when the workday is over. Mental boundaries maybe is turning your minds out of the office so that you focus on other things other than work. But it's very, very important to have strong boundaries in our journey, not only for others, but mostly for ourselves.
Yeah.
And finally, your well-being is a critical component of your sales effort. No one can give from an empty cup. By taking care of yourself in a focused manner and integrating your responsibility with your personal passions, you create alignment that will then allow you to relieve some of the pressures of the day and amplify your superhuman potential.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
So, with that, I have a gift for all the listeners. So, anyone can go ahead and scan the QR code here, or the link is actually bit.ly ready dash to dash thrive. The easiest part is the QR code. If you scan it, you are going to receive a free download of the guidebook of
Mm.
overachieving without burnout with a little bit more details of what we discussed today. And I also have a course, a digital course, that is about 75 to 80 minutes of the full material that I just whisk over 25 minutes. And for all of the listeners and participants here, they can use the code FRIENDS15 to receive 15% off of the course. So those are the two offers that I have to you. First, a free guidebook, and the second is the discounted price on the course.
Wonderful. Neysha, thank you so much. One, we just appreciate you being here, and not less importantly as a number two, but we appreciate your generosity and giving. This is a topic that is sorely needed right now. It always has been. I think it's coming more to the forefront these days of how do we set boundaries? How do we, to your point, keep our cup full? I think so many of the points you touched on here, like you said, there's a lot here and there's a lot to do. So thank you for that offer into your course as well. And we encourage everybody to take advantage of these gifts that Neysha is bringing to the table. Get together, get with your accountability partner, share this video with folks that you think might need some of these resources to help them. Right? We are not put on this earth to work and then die. We are
Yep.
put on this earth to work and thrive and be in community. And we are always so much better together. So,
Oh, absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely, Dion. I couldn't agree anymore.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time. And everybody, as you know, you will receive access to this recording. It will only be around for a short period of time. So as you enter into the end of this year or you're entering into a personal development season, encourage you to take advantage of the resources here. Connect with Neysha as well. And we will go from there. Thank you, everybody, for your time today.